Jonathan Marks with Dr. Pradeep Bhide, PhD from the Florida State University College of Medicine. He's the Director for the Center for Brain Repair and the Chair of Developmental Neuroscience. Dr. Bhide is going to be speaking at the annual meeting of APSARD this coming January 15th to 17th on the new findings in the genetics and basic science of ADHD. Dr. Bhide, I know you're part of a symposium. Tell us what your presentation is going to be about.
So I'll be talking about using animal models to gain novel insights into the neurobiology of ADHD. The ultimate goal is to translate our preclinical findings into the clinic by developing these molecules into drugs and see how they will benefit the ADHD patient population.
Great. So let me ask a two-part question. The first one, I'm curious, do animals have ADHD? Do we know that? And number two, why are animals or how are animals relevant to research for humans?
Sure. So, of course, ADHD being a cognitive disorder, it's very difficult to say whether a mouse, for example, has ADHD or not. However, that is not necessarily a disadvantage because we can perform behavioral analyses in these animal models that focus on components of the bigger ADHD syndrome. For example, working memory. Rodents, mice and rats, they require working memory. We have specific behavioral tests that measure working memory, attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. The animal model that we have developed, it is a prenatal nicotine exposure mouse model. And we chose that because the clinical research has shown that if pregnant women smoked cigarettes or used tobacco products, the risk for ADHD in the child doubled. So nicotine exposure is a known environmental cause or is associated with development of ADHD symptoms. So we have identified 2 or 3 molecules, novel molecules, that underlie working memory and attention deficit. We have even tried to develop these molecules into drugs. But another new finding that we have is that the phenotypes, the cognitive deficits produced by the nicotine exposure are not only found in the offspring, but some of these behavioral phenotypes are transmitted to the next generation. So let's say the grandchildren of the mother who smoked exhibit ADHD-like behavior, and the great-grandchildren also display that behavior, even though only grandmother actually was exposed to tobacco or nicotine. Similarly, male mice or fathers that were exposed to nicotine, their children also show ADHD-like symptoms. So these types of transgenerational transmission of ADHD phenotype or heritability of these cognitive deficits, that insight came because we used an animal model. Because you can imagine to do this type of transgenerational study in people, even if it were possible, would take about 50 or 100 years. And in a mouse model, we could do this in less than a year.
So Dr. Bhide is going to be presenting at the annual meeting of APSARD this coming January 15th to 17th on new findings in the genetics and basic science of ADHD. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhide.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
And we'll see you all at the meeting. Take care.